Most of us know that we should read more. We buy books after reading an exciting review one day, they come in the post in their Amazon Prime packaging, then after reading a page or two we get distracted and they end up spending months collecting dust on our shelves, until eventually they fall victim to a clear out. Guilty. But reading one book can quite literally change your life, and reading enough of them can make you a completely different person. However, most of us either don't have the time to read or don't know where to start. And when popular self-help books like The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People are dauntingly big when they come through the post, it can seem like quite a commitment. Over the past 2 years, I've read as many books as I could on personal development, stoicism and habit building. And in that time, I've reconditioned myself from someone who lived for the weekend and then spent the week riddled by anxiety to living with purpose and fulfillment every day. That's why in this short video, I'm going to reveal the 3 tiny books that changed my life and will turn you into the best version of yourself. The Little Book of Stoicism by Jonas Salzberger. If you're a follower of this channel, you know that I talk about Stoicism a lot. That's not just because it's been such a major force in my own journey of self-improvement, but also because so many influential figures in history have used Stoicism to get them through tough times, such as George Washington, Teddy Roosevelt, and even the Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius. I already had a foundational knowledge of Stoicism before I read this, but this book tied it all together in a simple, easy to follow playbook. As someone who gets excited about taking complex subjects and turning them into easy to follow guides, I'm weird, I know, this book became my Bible. It not only lays out a brief introduction to Stoicism and how it started, but it explains the exact steps you need to take and uses graphs like this. Sexy, I know. This is the Stoic Triangle, which lays out the 3 main principles of Stoicism: taking responsibility, living with arete, which means your higher self, and focusing only on what is within your control. These charts, graphs and lists saved me so much time picking out different passages and elements from Meditations by Marcus Aurelius or Letters to a Stoic from Seneca. But once you have foundational knowledge and want to go deeper, I recommend those books. So for anyone who wants to eliminate anxiety and become the best version of themselves, stop focusing on things that aren't in their control and overthinking, I really do recommend this book. Perfect book for a beginner. Book number 2, Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl. So a few years ago, I'd spent 3 months abroad living with an ex-girlfriend. Then when we got home, we decided to break up. As I tended to do at this point in my life before I started taking responsibility, I spent a lot of time feeling sorry for myself. And yeah, there might have been some tubs of ice cream involved. Then I saw this book recommended by someone on YouTube. So I took it on the train with me and I read it on my way to work, and it shook my world. So there I was at 20 years old feeling sorry for myself for going through a breakup. And then I was reading about somebody who went through 3 different concentration camps as a Jew in Nazi Germany. He survived beatings, humiliations and disease, and he even managed to find some joy out of it. When you read an amazing story like Viktor Frankl's, suddenly all of your problems get blown out of the water. Suddenly moaning about the British weather makes no sense anymore. Actually, it is still pretty bad. Here was someone who was in the worst conceivable situation that a human could be in. Worked almost to death, tortured, humiliated, all while being completely innocent. Yet he found it in him to see it as an opportunity to create a form of thinking that could help millions of people that come after him. Not only does he take us through his own journey, but he writes about the exact way you can take responsibility for your own thoughts and turn tough times into chances to grow and improve the world. This quote summarises it perfectly. Everything can be taken from a man but one thing, the last of the human freedoms: to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances, to choose one's own way. After reading this book, I decided it was time for a change in my own life. I started taking responsibility for everything. Even if it wasn't my fault, I started to think about what I could do differently next time. There are 2 things that happen in life. 1, an event happens. 2, we react to it. The only thing we can control is number 2, so why focus on anything else? Book number 3, Outwitting the Devil by Napoleon Hill. The catchy title doesn't motivate you to read this. The fact that Napoleon Hill's wife kept this a secret for 73 years out of a fear of a controversial response will. Throughout the book, self-help genius Napoleon Hill, who also wrote Think and Grow Rich, has a conversation with the devil. In the book, the devil is essentially a metaphor for all of the negative distractions we face, such as anxiety, fear, sex, drugs, alcohol, life without purpose. It directs us through how we can avoid the devil's plans to drag us into these vices. So despite the analogies of devil and God, the book is actually nothing about religion. The concept that we all have a devil and a God inside of us, and the less aware we are of our habits, our actions and our thoughts, the more we drift onto the side of the devil. When I read this book for the first time, I felt a complete shift in my day-to-day experiences. I started categorising myself between two actions, devil and good, or good and bad. I started to notice that certain actions and habits I had was from awareness of my higher self, and that those should be acted on. And other habits and inclinations were from the side of the devil. For example, if I decided to watch an extra episode of Netflix because I was anxious about work I had to do, fear that I would fail, that's the devil at play. If I choose to watch that extra episode of Netflix because I've had a really productive day, I've worked hard all week and I just fancy some downtime, then that's likely the healthy side, or God, at play. You might have noticed that when categorising these actions, I didn't say that the God action was turning Netflix off and doing something productive. Although that's usually the healthy option, it's important not to differentiate anything that's unproductive, like Netflix, as good or bad. No one wants to only be productive 24/7. Everyone wants to switch off sometimes. If you don't, then you're probably a psychopath. Of course you should be productive most of the time, but whether or not you're productive or unproductive, it just needs to come from a God place rather than a devil place. So, how can you tell? Well, pause for a second and let your mind think. Work out if the reason that you're not doing something unproductive is because of some sort of anxiety or fear that you'll fail. In other words, procrastination. If it is, then that's coming from a devil place and you should stop what you're doing and do something productive. Usually the hard thing. You're probably thinking about what that is right now. If not, then you can continue. So these are the 3 tiny books that changed my life. I wanted to hold them up so that you can see how small they are, but bear in mind that I'm only 5'5", so they're actually smaller in real life than you might think. Starting to read a new book can feel like a commitment if you're a beginner, but remember that anyone who did anything worthwhile read books. They are subject matter experts' entire life work condensed into a £10 book. I don't think you'll find anything else with a better return on investment. I can honestly say that without books, I would be a complete shadow of the person that I am today. They've helped me feel less anxious, more at peace, better with money, more confident in public. It also helped me become a more responsible part of society and so much more. And remember that anything is better than nothing, even if it's just 1 page a week. So put down the tub of ice cream and get started. You won't regret it. Thank you so much for watching. If you took any value at all from this video, I'd really appreciate if you could hit the like button and comment on what books have changed your life for the better. I post weekly videos on building discipline and an unbreakable mindset. If you're looking to improve your life, then hit the subscribe button and join the community. I'm also really excited to say that I've just released a free step-by-step guide to getting your life together. I know from my own experience of trying to get my life together how hard it is when you've got conflicted information from blogs, courses and YouTube videos. So I made an easy to follow process of the exact way that I went from anxious and lazy to productive and fulfilled. It tells you exactly what I wish I knew when I started my journey. It's completely free, but I don't know how long I'll keep it that way, so get it while you can. It'll be the first link in the description, and I'll see you in the next one.